Hello, Futties. Welcome along to your latest dose of FIFA Ultimate Team podcasting goodness. We are Foot in Review, powered by footcoaching.com. It is Monday, the 29th of May, 2023. My name is Dan Wimbush, otherwise known as Wimby. I am joined by the scout, Nathan Downs, and over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be rounding up all of the latest foot content, including a brand new team, the season squad, the Super Liga from Turkey. We've got a new hero pick. We'll run down whether we think it is worth your time to do. Plus, we'll be reviewing our weekend league experience, which included trying out some brand new players and a player for me who I think might just be the very best player on this entire game. So, for all that and more, as mentioned, I am joined by the scout, Nathan Downs. Nathan, hello, welcome back.
Dan, thank you for having me back. It's a pleasure as always to be on with you. Bit different being back on sort of co-hosting, because last time obviously I was in the chair sheet, so it's nice to be back on, letting you take the lead and talking all things for La Liga, Liga TOTS and Super Liga.
Yeah, I mean, I had to clear away so many like beer cans and magazines and like all sorts of nonsense from the office after you'd been in there, mate. It was a state. But no, well done.
Apologise. Bad influences all around me. That's all I can say.
Absolutely, it was the people you were co-hosting with. It was that Chris and that Shack Attack, absolute demons that they are. But look, let's get into it because there's plenty to do. As mentioned, lots to get into in the show. We're going to start with the latest content, specifically the Super Liga TOTS. But Nath, I mean, really, we don't really want to play party pooper here to start the show, but we were just looking through this team, you and I, just before we came on. And I think the overall feeling is it's a bit like when you've been to the all-you-can-eat restaurant and they're bringing you out your fifth plate of something. It might be delicious, but you've had 4 plates already, and it's just so hard to actually appreciate this team for what it is because so few players genuinely stand out if you've been playing, at least since the start of TOTS.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when you say so few, I don't think any stand out in terms of being a main team must-have. There's a few players that we've seen. I've managed to pack Barini today, who looks nice. Obviously, with his ex-Liverpool links, he got put on the transfer list straight away. But you've kind of got. There's a few different cards. I mean, Valencia's back. He's 600 odd K, which I can't understand because yes, he's rapid, but he's still got three-star weak foot. So he had a good World Cup, but I don't understand why you're paying at this time, 600K, 612,000 on console for a 3-star weak foot striker. That just makes absolutely no sense to me. But I don't know what you think about that, Dan. But yeah, I just think
I mean, I agree. I think look, he's definitely. Look, Harry Kane is 5-star, 3-star, isn't he? And we've seen the havoc that Harry Kane can cause. So we can't.
Kane's got the 5-star weak foot.
Yeah, true.
I think some people like skills, but if you're playing, especially these formations where you've got one striker, if you have a 5-star weak foot, I think that's night and day compared to a 3-star weak foot because you can put it anywhere and shoot. You can work it onto his. Onto him.
I mean, true. But the one card I would compare this to in a bit of a budget kind of way is Mo Salah, and I picked up Mo Salah's. I was lucky enough to get Mo Salah in my Reds. Stats wise, these two are very similar. Valencia has a very slight edge in total in-game stats and in face stats. Not for a second saying they're alike for like, but playing Mo Salah on the left of the front three, I've noticed that weak foot a lot less. And I think people have used, George Puskas, the failed Reading striker. Icon Puskas, the one who had a much more successful career. He's got that 4-star, 3-star in his cards up until the Foot birthday one. And I know John Bridges from our friends over at Nothing But a Foot thing, he's been using him all year in that left forward position. And for those players who've got those kind of shooting stats, you can get away with it. But, I know John was talking about on Friday's show, and you're absolutely right, Nath. It's at the point where there are so many options. Do you want to compromise it for that? This would be very much a card that you might try out if you got untradeable. But yeah, I cannot understand why anyone will be paying 600,000 coins.
Yeah, I'm sure, like you say, I'm sure it'd be fun, but 600,000 is mental when you look at some of the other cards. And we're getting such good cards left, right, and centre. And for the majority of them, the prices are pretty low on a lot of these TOTS cards. Even the last week's team, the La Liga team, there's so many criminally underrated cards on that one. And you're seeing it again with Ligue 1. Some of these prices, like, we don't have that mid-tier. You either have low budget or high budget. There doesn't seem to be like a middle ground. But the ones around that are just crazy good for not for a lot of coins. So, are you going to change your team around for any of these players? No. Would you play any if you got them in tradable? Possibly. Valencia come off the bench, I'll give you that. Barini's got nice stats. But apart from that, I mean, Icardi's always relatively fun on FIFA. He's pretty good, and I think they've nerfed his work rates. He's high medium now, so that's a bonus. But again, nobody on there I'd be like, I have to get. But I know there's one player in particular, Dan, you're looking to pick up just for a bit of fun.
Yes, Dries Mertens, a real FIFA kind of icon without being an actual icon yet. He's always a super fun card to use. I think when I first picked up this game, FIFA 20, he had a flashback around that team of the season time. He had a premium flashback. I think it was a 95 rated. Such a good card. And look, he's not the player he once was in real life. And the card isn't the card this once was. But he's still got 5-star skill moves, 4-star weak foot. He's got 99 acceleration, 86 sprint speed. He's got the outside the foot shot trait. He's got the finesse shot trait. He's got flair. This is the definition of a fun card. He's 50k. I'm going to be picking it up and at least plopping him on my bench. But again, I think that's about the best you can say. We have had an objective and an SBC player as well for this team. We've had Nathan Redmond, who used to play for Southampton and Norwich, I think, as well. He was at. He's now playing over in Turkey for Besiktas. He's had an objective card out. It will take you. You could probably do this alongside your rivals or maybe your foot qualies, because the only thing that's really going to be a problem is you've got to win 7 squad battles matches on semi-pro while having one Super League player in your team. So maybe if you've got a bit of flexibility with Kem, you might go and buy the goalkeeper, or maybe you do play with someone like Dries Mertens for a few games like that. Otherwise, it just relies on you having players from England. You've got to score an assist player using English players in 3 separate games and score 5 goals using players from England. So again, if you are rocking, say, Harry Kane, you'll probably actually end up with 3 of these objectives without even meaning to do so. So if you end up doing something like Silver Beasts, go and knock it off. It's a 90-rated piece of fodder. And Oliveira as well, Nath. If this card had been released 2 months ago, we'd be saying, wow, a Hullet Gang midfielder for an SBC that costs you 25k. It's very hard to actually pick a fault in this card, but it's just blends into just everything else we've had. So again, go back to our central point, it just doesn't stand out.
No, absolutely. It's a nice card. The Portuguese links as well, I thought might have put it up a little bit, but again, it's a 90 rated midfielder when, some of the duds in some of these leagues are coming in at 92 rating and anyway. And, there's nothing wrong with it. Like the 95 shot passing, he's got good acceleration. Even his dribbling's good. He's got solid defensive, good shooting. So, like you said, nothing wrong with it at all. But when the prices of TOTS are so low, even 25k for a 90 rated, even a few weeks ago we'd have been saying, put it in, you've got a bit of fodder. But prices are so low on a lot of these type of cards now. Anyway, it's I'd rather have the fodder and keep it for the 84 times 11s or whatever you're getting coming, the league SBCs or whatever we get. So I would rather do that than put it into a player like this who's literally going to be coming in to join the next SBC.
Yeah, again, these are very much cards where if you've started a brand new road to glory, or you're going to start one, or you just want something fresh, very, very nice. It's very hard, again, to pick an actual flaw in this card because he looks the absolute definition of a great box-to-box player with the high work rates, the 4-4. He's as solid with his shooting as he is with his defending. Passing, really good as well. Nothing below 93 in the passing stats. So it only costs you an 83 rated squad. You've got to have 2 players, I believe, with a minimum of 85 rating, which is where the cost comes from. But once you put those 2 85s in, you're only going to need basically 82. So if you do end up with a couple of dupes, maybe you're taking that level 30 fodder pack. This would be one to knock off. And I'll say as well with these players, it might be tempting at the moment to, just be selling them for the base value they're at. But I think we're getting to the stage, Nath, to delve a little bit into kind of market and trading stuff where if you have these players and you don't immediately need the coins, I think we're getting to the stage of the cycle now where it's actually more valuable for you to hold on to them, because I think people are getting lulled into this false sense of security with all of the TOTS players that they're getting. All of these 88, 89, 90 rated cards. Actually, they stop. As soon as team of the season stops, we go back to having just promo teams, and suddenly getting this fodder is a lot harder. So you'll see the price of these cards and fodder cards go up. Well, that's how the cycle usually works, Nath.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're in a position where you need the coins now, then selling them's a good option. But if you can hold on, it's a bit like the team of the week cards as well. I know you and Shaq have been advocating holding, either stocking up or at least holding your team of the week cards. Although they've got fairly high sort of base discard value, and some of them go for a bit more just now anyway. But once team of the season's gone, you will have probably a couple of months of random promos. Some of them will obviously have cracking players in it. But it's only really when you get towards maybe the beginning of August, late July, where you get those really, what do we call it, silly season, where you get those 85 times 10. Yeah, where you can basically grind anything. But usually between TOTS and that time, we get some, top icon SBC. A couple of years ago, I'm sure we had Ronaldo. We've had, a good version of Cantona around then. There will be things coming to try and entice you, which will obviously drive the higher rated players up as well. So hold if you can, sell if you want to. I mean, coins are coins at the end of the day, and at this time they will be fairly okay to come by, I think. But if you've got the patience, then it's definitely going to be a little ISA, if you like.
Yeah, a good little nest egg, because once this team of the season ends, I said the supply dries up, and EA then start throwing out all the SBCs at us, the icon picks, the 88 plus double upgrades, the any team of the season upgrades, the 90 plus rated team of the season eFigs pack. All of these things start coming, and people aren't getting this absolute steady supply. I've packed Benjamin Andre 5 times this week. You don't get 90 rated fodder that often during normal promos. So yeah, just one to keep an eye on. Again, very much encourage everybody to spend your coins and have a good time. But if you have got a few 100k spare and you don't immediately need it, I would just hang on to a few of these, because it might allow you to, either cash in, or it will help you complete these SBCs when we do get into, out of team of the season, which, Nathan, we've only got 2 weeks to go. We've got Serie A coming up on Friday, and then presumably Ultimate TOTS for a week. Might throw a curveball. It might be 2 weeks, but yeah, we're just getting to the end. I mean, before we've got a couple of other bits of content, but while we're here, how are you feeling at this point into TOTS now? We are in our 5th major team we've had now?
Yeah, I like it, and I fell into the trap that I do every TOTS, where I go full ham on the Premier League team, and I'm kind of wish you wait for the League On, because to be fair to EA, each team has been a step up. Like, we've not had one crack team and then it's lull. Like we thought Bundesliga comes straight after Prem. It would be a bit disappointing, a bit sort of anticlimactic. But I think Prem was solid. Prem was good, and then Bundes was, like, you could probably say excellent. La Liga I thought was superb, and Ligue 1 is just like mind blowing. So possibly they'll do the same with Serie A, because there's not been that many cracked cards from Serie A through the cycle so far. So, some people look at it and go, well, it's a bit of a non-event, that league just now, but we kind of thought that with Bundesliga, and look what they did. I think they've knocked the ball out the park with team of the season main teams this year.
Yeah, I imagine, and this is complete spectacle. I've not even really seen the leaks, but Osman is the big one. Everybody's expecting. I mean, that's nailed on. How much they juice that card is going to be fascinating to see. I imagine we'll get players like Barella. Of course, we've had very meta cards in this cycle. Someone like a Tamori, I could see him getting either a moments card. Maybe they even throw out a moments Zlatan.
Oh, could you imagine? That would be unreal. You'll get Rafael. Leao's been outstanding as well. You've got the Georgian boy that I'm not going to try and butcher his name.
Kvaradona.
Aye, him. So he'll be nailed on for one, you'd imagine. So there's a few cards that, if they do the boosts right, and I know on previous pods we've kind of we as a Foot and Review kind of collective have discussed how some cards have ridiculous boosts and some are kind of underwhelming. But I think if they boost the cards coming in the right way, it could be another very, very fun week to grind at.
Yeah, there's going to be lots. I think this will be a bit like the Bundesliga, where maybe you go into it not really expecting a lot, and then EA just unfurl a load of great players on us, and not even mention players like Teo Hernandez, who I'm sure are going to be in there as well. So should be a really fun week. It's been a good way to round off TOTS. I just go back to that feeling when I looked at the Super Liga team of it. It's just kind of like it's a bit. You get a little bit jaded by it just because you lose that wow factor of, I look at some of the players that have been in this Ligue 1 team, and if they'd been out 3-4, if this had been the first, team of the season, you'd be like, wow. Even someone like a Benjamin Andre, who I've just dissed completely, if he'd been in the community team of the season, you probably would have gone, oh wow, he's a cheap beast, cheap CDM beast, and now it's kind of like, who is this guy? Stop haunting my packs, please. So yeah, a couple of weeks to go. Hopefully some good things in it. I mentioned the Ligue 1 team. We have had an SBC released over the weekend. Stefan Mavididi? Yeah, Mavididi. Yeah, the English winger. Again, Nath, a really nice card. If you are looking, trying away, if you've got a Ligue 1 team and you're trying to fit that Harry Kane card in, a nice place to go. 4-4 though, means this doesn't massively stand out, but again, for 55k, usable option.
Usable, very, very fast, good agility. So I think he'll feel really nice on the ball. But you come in at these players where you got some very good cards, and we got getting a 60 aggression player. It's I've said it before, but you're literally going to offer the ball up on the plate to the aggressive Sergio Ramos, or whoever you're still rocking, and just saying, please take the ball off me, sir. So I think this one could actually be very good. Either give it a 5-star in one of the the skill moves of the weak foot, boost the aggression even up to 80. If that had an 80 aggression, you'd be thinking this is a different card. But again, for new players, 50k on this card is actually all right. I think I like this one better than the Super Liga one. I would be more tempted for this, but again, nothing stand out-ish. It's just, it could be a very good impact sub that you get, when if opposition fullbacks are tiring, bring him on to smoke them, basically.
Yeah, and I think as well that the other couple of stats that stand out for me, 99 heading accuracy to go along with 90 jumping, 93 strength, and he's 6 foot as well. So, like you say, if you bring him on late and put him on, on that left wing, and you're someone that puts in deep crosses to the far post, this guy's going to be able to handle them. I mean, the volleys at 85 is maybe a little bit meh, and the composure at 88. But, you can fix that with, they wouldn't apply as a sub, but, if you did start him, I think this is a good player. If you are someone that enjoys a crossing game, I think this could be a little stealthy option to get, to work into your team. So again, for 50k, definitely worth picking up. But again, if you miss out on him, I don't think this is going to be a player that haunts you. I was going to say, when talking about Oliveira and we were talking about, making him stand out, I would have really liked to have seen EA, especially with these SBC players. You know what they did with the Winter Wildcards? And we actually talked about it, didn't we, the other week with Chong, how they made him have like 99, was it 99 shooting?
99 shooting, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been really nice if they'd done something like that with these SBC players, like just giving them one standout, ridiculous stat, like make Mavididi, a 99 physical player, or just something like that. Or given, we saw it with, was it Politano? Who was just given loads of traits.
Top range, yeah. He had like 5 or 6 different traits that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, and it just feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity. I mean, I guess that'll be the kind of gimmicks that they're going to throw at us after TOTS to kind of keep us engaged. We see things like shapeshifters. But yeah. Overall, though, I have to say that the SBC offerings that we've had throughout most of these leagues, to me, have been really disappointing. I mean, La Liga last week, did we actually even get a player after Friday?
No, I don't think we had a specific La Liga player. We just had the icons, which the more I think about it, the more it actually annoys me. I know we try to be positive in that, but what they were thinking about some of the players, and we said it at the time, the releasing second top tiers, not even the top tier versions of icons. Like, as a community, people were crying out for the World Cup David Beckham, who has held his value until TOTS, and he's still a very, very good card. But instead they give us a Xavi that's not even his best version, or the Roberto Carlos one, 100k more in terms of value, you get his top value, but they still bring him out as the second best one. You're like, that has possibly been the most disappointing part of the team of the season promo for me. And I know it's not specifically team of the season because it's just, icons that were to do with that league at the time. But I just think they dropped the ball massively there. And I don't understand why. And for all the good stuff that EA have done recently, and, I'm very quick to praise them, very quick to criticize them when they need it. And I think this is somewhere that you need to criticize that icon is just sort of the icon week, if you like, has just been an absolute disaster.
Yeah, from a very overpriced Ronaldinho, I know their hands are slightly tied by the market, but they could have shaved a few squads off that. And like you say, why prime Xavi? Why prime Roberto Carlos? We're not even talking about, at least in the Ronaldinho situation, I think that guys talked about it on Friday, you could understand it because you can't go out and release a 40 squad team of the year icon Ronaldinho. I mean, that's just, that he's going into silly season. But so that I understood, but isn't the difference between Roberto Carlos's cards about 100k? And I have no idea what it is between Xavi, but I can't imagine it's that much. It's just curious, and it goes back to a point that I made on the show last week with John, that EA needs to come out and communicate, like tell us why, because it makes no sense. It literally makes zero, because you've set the precedent. You've released the Team of the Year icon version of Cloud Makalele. So even if you'd just been, okay, well, this is all about primes this week, then you would have gone, okay, whatever. They're releasing primes. But one day they release Team of the Year, the next a prime. Just, I don't know. It's head scratching. It's a company that has to have no accountability at this stage. Even last night, we'll talk about it now. They released a new 1 of 4 Trophy Titans World Cup or Foot Fancy Heroes pick. But in the description, it had an 86 and an 85, and it said 85 and 86 rated squads. You went into the 86 rated squad, and it actually needed an 87 rated squad. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's happening a little bit more. They go through waves, don't they? Like peaks and troughs. Sometimes the content's pretty solid, it's pretty good, it's what you'd expect. And then even, what day was it? It was Thursday, where the marquee matchups and the content didn't come out till about 2 or 3 hours later. And they had the servers went down that morning, so people couldn't do anything.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like 1 minute they're all over it, the next minute the quality control guys kind of go for a cup of coffee. Then the workers decide they're going to put their feet up, and suddenly all hell breaks loose. So it's frustrating because I want to praise everything. I want to be positive. I want to say everything's great and best thing we've ever seen. But they just keep letting themselves down with things like that. And yeah, even it can't be that hard to get the number right. Surely somebody plugs it in, somebody else checks it, sorted. It can't be that hard to release something correctly.
Yeah, to correct it quickly is the key thing. I've not seen if it has been updated. As we're recording this around 3:00 UK time on the Monday as well. So I should say as well, if you're listening to this, because by the time it gets edited, it'll probably be out post content. So that's why we're not talking about any of the anticipated upgrades that I imagine we'll get today. But I really hope that I listen back to this and eat my words. But the way they've handled upgrades as well, Nath, has been shocking. The way they've completely given you no real route to get gold rares, at the same time as we're in a yearly cycle where they've nerfed this upgrade. We were last year, and for previous years, these premium upgrades existed. You submitted 11 rares, but you got 9 commons and 3 rares back. And now we're in the 3 rares, 5 commons back. So it's shrinkflation from EA. It's the same way, you're going and buying your dairy milk bar and it's costing you a little bit more and you're getting a bit less chocolate.
Tinfoil hat time, though. I hope I'm wrong. Again, like you said, I think with my tinfoil hat on, they'll nerf even tonight's upgrades. I don't know whether you've seen, but there's quite a lot going around on social media about the upgrades that we've had so far. Even the daily ones we get, where it's the 11 times, what is it, 81s. Like, if you did that in League One, you'd have a high percentage of getting either the team of the year or top tier.
It's going to be 75. It's going to be 75 by, because we saw this in team of the year, didn't we? It's going to be a 75 by, I imagine 75 by 15 or 75 by 11.
I think they might up it to make it look like you're getting a better deal for them nerfing it,
Yeah.
but it'll still be something like an 85 rated squad for 15, 20, 75 plus rated players. So we might, like I say, tinfoil hat on. I think we're not going to get the upgrade route that we've had for each other sort of league. Which, if that happens, I think that's going to drive a bigger wedge between EA and the community than we've seen in a long time. You know, people can put up with innocent mistakes, but stuff like that is so stingy. Like you say, there's not been any upgrade routes. They've kind of nullified the menu grind to an extent as well. So I think that if they do that, which I'm pretty sure they will, I think that's, you know, EA almost insulting people at times to say, like, you know, we know you're going to do it anyway, so just get what you're given, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think the overall theme of FIFA 23 will be that it has been one of the best games for variety, formations, gameplay, styles, picking up a very decent team, you know, building yourself an 8 out of 10 team. I don't think it's ever been easier than this game, but I think the legacy will be how much that they have funneled people in towards buying packs to get from that 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 team. It has been, you know, we talked about it. I can't remember if I talked about it on my stream, Wimby86 Twitch TV /Wimby86, or whether I talked about it on the show. It all kind of blurs into one. Sorry, folks, I'm getting old. But when that Centurions pack was released, the hype around having oh my goodness, 100 rare players in a pack, that's unbelievable. This is going to be insane. We now get that once or twice a week.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's not really anywhere to put the lower rated ones in, because once you've done marquee matchups, you can't, because a lot of the good upgrade packs that you want to craft are 82, 83, 84 rated squads. Whereas, you know, you're getting a lot of these 75 to 80, and like I say, marquee matchups comes out, so you fire them into that. There's not really a viable upgrade route anymore to put these in either. So, I mean, I did one on Saturday night. I went out, we had our end of season football do, and I had a couple of sherbets too many. And I spent, 400 or 500k coins by the looks of it on a pack, and ended up with a 2 team of the years for the Ligue 1, but like no memory of doing it. But at the same time, I had, like, out of 105 players, I think I had something like 65 dupes. Yeah. But literally nowhere to put them, unless you're going to just stick them into like the gold upgrades, which is really dull, because you end up 9 times out of 10 getting dupes again. So, yeah, in game though, I generally believe this is probably the best game we've ever had on any, not just FIFA, but across, you know, video games. I think this is the best in-game football game that we've had. I think it's ridiculously good. Like you say, a lot of variety. I do get annoyed at some of the mechanics, you know, the cutback goals or the kickoff glitch, which is something, by the way, I wanted to press. I know we're going to speak about Weekend League, so I'll leave it for that. But certain things annoy me, but I think it's the most well-rounded game, and you know, gameplay-wise and in-game, I think this has been a good year. But the menu side of things, and I know you're more into the menu grinding than I do. I've found one way of trading, and that's great. But I don't do the variety like you do, so I can only imagine how wound up you're getting at this lack of sort of menu grind options.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to be repeating myself every week on this show, because you guys deserve better, but they were so close. They are so close to EA to really giving the player base kind of ticking every single box. And it's obvious why every single box hasn't been ticked. For the 500th time I've said this, EA are a business. They're funneling people to spend their points. They're funneling people to spend more money on the game. They announced in their latest quarterly earnings that they've made more money than ever off FIFA at this stage in the cycle. It is a success. There is no doubt about that. They're a business. They have an obligation to their shareholders. They have to make, profits. They don't have to make this level of profits, though. They could quite easily have kept things like League SBCs in place. This was a conscious decision to funnel people that bit more. But look, we kind of got into this discussion on last week's show with John and Shaq, so I don't want to delve back in here again. But look, I respect the game, like you've just said. I think from a purely football game point of view, it is one of the best I've played. Definitely got its flaws, but overall one of the best I've played. But it's annoying that deliberate choices have been made to dissuade people from a certain game style, especially menu-wise, and that will rankle me. But to this point, it's not rankled me enough to force me away from the game. I don't spend FIFA points for that very reason, because it's the one thing I can do just to voice to EA that I do not like it. I don't want to engage with that side of the game. I will give them my time. I don't want to give them my extra money. But that's my personal choice. If you want to spend FIFA points, please do. If you do so responsibly. If you don't, equally good. Whatever. Right. We mentioned that hero player pick, Nath. Have you done it?
No, I haven't, to be honest. I've actually got no interest in doing it at all either, which isn't like me at all. I usually love a gamble pack, but have you done it, Dan?
Yeah, I've done it on both accounts. The best player I got on the second account was Rudy Voller's World Cup card, which is just more than the SBC. I think the SBC is coming in about 150k. He's still about 200. So in that team, he's definitely a very good bench option. He might even get in as a starter. And on the main account, the best option I had was for fantasy Harry Kewell, who's about 400k. So technically two small dubs. But I mean, the picks I was watching as I was playing a few squad battles earlier to tick off some objectives, I was watching Orzio open them, and oh my word, they stink. So many four options of World Cup heroes. I mean, come on. But look, if you have got loads of fodder, this is a time when fodder is plentiful. You may as well send it. You never know. You might get a Lucio. You might get something. I was lucky enough to get a Ginola, albeit not from a hero pick, but it does happen. So for 100 odd K, and like we're saying, Nate, other than Kimpembe, who I know we're going to talk a little bit about when we review our weekend leagues, there's just not been a lot of really good players released. I suppose Puskás is out, but yeah, I've not really felt like, there's rarely been a time where I've been like, oh man, I wish I hadn't spent that fodder because this player's come out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about 9 squads into Ronaldinho, and I'm kind of regretting that now. At the time, I just thought, wow, I'll do it. And I've done a few of the big squads as well, but now I'm like, what a waste, because you could just go and try different players for the value. Yeah. But it gives,
especially for you can buy him.
Well, I can't anymore. But it gives you something to grind, and I'm quite happy having somewhere that I can stick some of these dupes into, especially untradeable dupes, because I'm still trying to keep ticking over, a few coins coming in. So I'm still trying to do it that way, which is fine. But yeah, I just don't think 88 plus at this stage of the game. Yeah, like you say, the World Cup heroes are a bit rubbish now. I'm trying to think of any World Cup hero that you're like, that's a starter in a team. Maybe Lucio.
Torre and Lucio, I'd say, would probably get in. And Capdevere, I think, is still just as good as a lot of these team of season left backs.
See, the Titans and even the fantasy ones, I would say yes. But I think the World Cup ones now, I mean, the Capdevere now is a bit meh. It's fine if you have him on stayed back, but he's not as balanced as some of these lovely new ones. Torre, I've had the pleasure of using, and I got him out of my club. I just thought there was something missing. I think I've said on the pod already. Like, I just think leave out the World Cup heroes now and just do fantasy Titans, or even mix it in with like the World Cup Team of the Year or something like that. World Cup icon, sorry. Like, do a hero or icon pick and just spread it a little bit. Yes, you're going to get some better players out of it, which you might not want to give away, but that would certainly, put it 250k for World Cup, Titan, Foot Fantasy, heroes, icons, and then these heroes, and just combine it as one for a little bit more coin. That's a winner. I think so many people would do that.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But they just don't want to give us those players right now. I think there's still, there's still squeezing to be done. They're still shaking down to the old pockets. And look, we'll get them all eventually anyway. So look, let's talk about Weekend League then, Nath. We'll talk about some player reviews right at the end, but I know you wanted to talk about kickoff glitches. This was a Weekend League that had a little bit of a difference in that there was this league and objective to get the Appender Team of the Season red card. I know you've played your Weekend League quite late. Just first of all, did you face a lot of League and teams?
Didn't face a single one full League and team.
No, I don't think I did either in 2 accounts.
There was a few teams that was League and heavy, but I can't say they were totally. And to be honest, I don't blame them, because I know this will have been covered in various socials and in Discord and even in pods, but nah. That's all I can say to that objective. Is just a bit meh. Like, why would you? He's rapid, and his player of the month was very, very fast. But again, I'm like, we're at the time now where that's a hefty grind for what you get. So unless you're a top level player or you've got unlimited coins that you can go and buy the better players, like it's an extra sweat at a very, very sweaty time of the year.
Yeah, and we have to talk about the kickoff glitch. A well-publicized content creator decided to tweet out a video demonstrating how exactly to do the kickoff glitch. And look, people were doing this before, but it shone an unnecessary light on a broken mechanic. And yes, the guys on Friday, John, did a very good job saying exactly how to defend it. But I think Kyle was saying, and I fell into the trap that he talked about, you switch off because they don't do it. These players are cunning, aren't they, Nath? They don't do it all the time, but you'll be lulled into it, and you'll just score a vital. I scored a couple of times, either an equaliser or to go like 2-1 up. And I'd just be taking like a breath and I'd forget about it and boom, 2 passes in and yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, apart from the one guy on my speed run where I think I ended up winning 6-0 before he rage quitted, and every time I scored, he tried it. So fair play. He tried it. It wasn't happening for him. But, it's obviously some people have seen this as going, that is the way to score. So they're happy to try it. And it's not. It is defendable. Like you say, as long as you're aware. The one thing, though, I will say, I was really annoyed that they put this out because I don't really like, abusing the mechanics. However, the little bit where he highlights the lead up to the long ball through, I never really thought about that. I just kind of defended it like I would defend it anyway, by dragging my defender back or triggering the offside trap depending which way. But now that you literally see them do the passing sort of sequence before, yeah. I'm not going to say it on the pod because I don't really advocate sharing everything for the mechanics. But you see the little passing sequence, you know what's coming. So, if I'm in a really bad mood, I will hold the heavy tackle and just try and kick them off the park. But otherwise, I will try and drop back and watch the run coming through. So it depends if you've got a really wound up Nathan or quite a chilled, happy Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, look, this weekend league was just wild in terms of the level of player I was playing, Nathan. I would go on streaks where I would face 4 or 5 players that I would be comfortably putting away. And then I would have a streak of 3 or 4 games where I couldn't get a kick. There just seemed to be this there didn't seem to be a middle ground. There were very few games that I was going into that were very tense, and there was 1 goal in it. It just seemed to be one or the other for me. I swung from 8-1 on the main account to I finished 11 and 6 in the end. I didn't even go for 14. My brain was fried because I'd gone 3 and 5 or something. And on the second account, I got 11 and 7 as well. So I got 11 on both. Annoyingly, the rewards, again, this is going to annoy people when I say things like this. Annoyingly, the rewards were better on the main account. I got Jonathan David and Nuna Menge as my 2 red picks, which are great. But unfortunately, on that account, they just don't get in. I would have absolutely loved those on the 4-5 week old second account, but unfortunately, I got Medina and Samba as my 2 best options. Andre and the attacking midfielder, is it Cabella?
Cabella, yeah.
Yeah, he appeared in both picks on that account. So not great on the old reward front on that account, but like I say, I can't really complain because the main did really well. I know you had to speed run and only ended up with 9 wins just because of time. How did you get on?
Yeah, got to 9-2. I was 5-0. Then I got absolutely destroyed by some guy that I couldn't lay a glove on. And then I lost on penalties as well in the other one, which was really annoying. But I was happy with 9. I would have liked to have time for 11, but obviously doing the pod, we've got, for my own actual football, we've got a media event tonight where we're getting unveiled in the local press. So that's quite cool. And tomorrow's out the question as well. So I kind of, once I got to 9, I looked at the time and goes, okay, well, that'll do me now, sort of thing. So not ideal, but I got the goalkeeper Cabella and Andre as well. So I went for the goalkeeper because I just thought he's higher rated and I could probably use him in my team if I had to, rather than squeezing some of the others in. But the one thing I'll say, everyone seems to have learned how to shoot now. I have never conceded so many goals to be in either green timed or just outrageous. Like
Yeah, there's a lot of
30
green
yards,
timing.
40 yards. Yeah, it's wild. And I had one that in the game that went to penalties. The guy scored the last minute equaliser. And I don't know what happened, but he basically deflected it off himself. Then it lobbed my keeper, who jumped about 16 foot in the air, crashed back down again, and the ball went in. I was like, what is going on here? So that was a very, very frustrating way to lose a game, let alone get to penalties. But that's my little rant for my weekend league.
Yeah, I had my first instance, I think, in this entire game of an engine braking bug. There was a weird tackle. I was probably about level with the 16-yard box I was attacking right on the touchline, and a tackle went in, and the ball literally flew at 10,000 miles per hour in a diagonal line to the edge of my box in a proper old school actual game bug, which was annoying enough. But he then scored from the resulting throw in. So it's just like this is just absolutely typical. But look, considering that, I said that is the very first time I've had a proper game bug. So it wasn't too bad. But look, we've used a few new players over the weekend league. I teased at the top that I'd used a player who I think is possibly the best player in this game. I used the lone Vinicius Junior team of the season. Yes, people throw your rotten apples at me if you don't like people using loans in weekend league. Sorry, I'm going to do it. Nath, this card is disgustingly good. There is nothing he can do. His dribbling is on another level. I compared it to everybody else feels like they're on a PS2 PES grid where you can just move in about 8 directions, and he feels like he's the only one that's got 360 dribbling.
Yeah,
he's playing on a PS6. Everybody else is on a stuck on a PS2. Unbelievable card. And I know, again, through your own hard work and trading, I know you've been able to get a hold of him, and I imagine you share my praise for this man.
He's unreal. He's possibly the only player in this game that has made me happy to sell Trophy Titans R9. R9's good and he'll finish his chances, but he's just like, there's something about him. And I know Shaq used one of his lower versions and was in love. I think was it the team of the tournament Shaq was like, or foot birthday, I think he had, sorry. But the 5-star. I know Ronaldo's body type's unique, but there's something about the way that Vinny moves. Like, he glides. If he had a little bit more strength, he would possibly be the player this entire game's built for. If he had more strength, he'd be higher rated than Mbappe because he moves different to anything else. His finishing's unreal. His passing's still very good. His shooting, like, is cracked. He is, like I say, the only thing I could say is when I used Rashford there before in the team of the season, Rashford could still body other players, whereas Vinny doesn't quite have that. Like, if he comes up against, like I say, a Ruben Diaz, say there's the odd time he is kind of nudged off it. But that's me being really picky because he's just something else. And yeah, absolutely echo that he is disgustingly good. And if you can get him into your team, then if you can either afford him or work him in, then do it, because right now he's the best player on the game. And that's after using, I'll come on to some of the other players that I've used, but I've used a few good players today, and he's still the best player on the game, in my opinion.
Well, go on then. Talk us through the other God squads you've been you've been rolling out.
So I've made a few changes. So I've brought in Kimpembe for the SBC, who, when I saw him come out at 600k, I did think twice, waited for some reviews, and I thought I'll bring him in. I know we had this chat offline about what chemistry style to do. I did a shadow just to max his pace out. He's unreal. He is so good. He's always there. He seems to be able to tackle. No one has, like, even Mbappe hasn't outpaced him yet for me. So very, very good player. I managed to bring in Renato Sanchez, so he plays next to Jude, and those two together are just absolute bulldozers. They're so good. And then I've managed to also bring in the new Neymar and Mbappe, which, to be fair, I was being a full sweat in my 5-4-1 formation, so I didn't quite get the best out of Neymar, but he still managed to score a goal. I think it worked out like a goal every game and a bit, so he's still really good from wide. And Mbappe is just next level. Considering he's got a 4-star weak foot, that's a fake stat. He's definitely 5'5", really. He just doesn't miss. He bodies players. He can, obviously, he's rapid, but he's on another level of rapid. And if you're any good at exploiting the L1, well, on PlayStation it's the L1 sprint sort of boost, I scored goal after goal just by doing that, and literally defenders it's like Moses in the Red Sea. They just part ways and let him through. He's unreal. So yeah, very, very good. But at the same time, Vinny is still my favorite player that I've used.
Yeah, it's just unfair. It's unfair that we can't all use that card. Annoyingly, I said I had the 7-game loan, and I think 2 games were people quit before kickoff or 1-1. So that was really annoying. So I actually got 5 games out of it, but ridiculous. Yeah, agree on Kimpembe. I do need to try what it's like with an anchor to see whether being lengthy. There was something, a very good player, I thought, Kimpembe, and definitely worth 600k. I've been playing Virgil van Dijk and Foot Birthday Desai together, and they've been a really great monster combo. Kimpembe doesn't have that physicality that Desai has, and I don't know whether it's just because I'm so used to using the Bash Brothers together that I'm struggling to use a player that's maybe a bit more kind of agility and pace based. So I might just chuck that anchor on him to give him that little bit more bulk and give him that lengthy style just to see. Because at the moment, I've not been like Desai sat there on my reserves list. He's not been consigned to SBC land. He's in contention to come back. And also as well, I know lots of people are approaching level 30, and I will still bang this drum. Wayne Rooney is a very, very good card and continues to be very, very good. I use him as a centre midfielder in the 4-3-2-1. He's my attacking player in that system, and he is excellent. His dribbling is up there with anybody that I've used, even now. Even I've just been praising Vinny, and I'm not saying Rooney's quite that level, but he's nimble and can do things that you just do not expect the card to do. So if you're not convinced by either the fodder or the pick, I don't think you will go wrong picking Wayne Rooney. Honestly, I think it's a very solid pick, and I'm probably going to take him on the RTG, but I'm not 100% sure of that because I've got quite a few centre mids, and I need some super X factor. And I just don't know, it might be a bit boring, Nath, using the same player on both accounts. So
no, it's not boring. If he works for you and he's a player, everyone loves Rooney, really. Even the rivals like Rooney. He epitomised what like a good, hard-working footballer would do. And at the time, especially when he was at United, he was a gifted player, but it was a lot of hard work that he put on. So I like that. I used him when he first came out, and he was brilliant. However, I do love opening a pack, so I'm definitely going for the pack. I've seen too many player picks that have been absolutely horrific. Now that there's obviously another level of TOTS in as well, I've just seen so many losses on that it just feels like it would be a shame to grind to level 30 and then just get a dud.
Yeah, it's a very, very tricky for the main account. I said I've got Rooney untradeable. I get quite a lot of fodder just go through grinding league SBC. So for me, I think I might just do that pick just as a hope of getting something mega. But on the RTG, it's a lot more, the second account, whatever you want to call it, it's a lot more tricky because I do need the fodder. I do also need an X Factor, and Rooney would be an upgrade. So I might have to find a 3-sided coin and throw that. So otherwise, not really too much to report in my weekend league in terms of players I used. It's been very static. I did mix up the second account a little bit more. I used Llorente, Balde, Molina, and had a little bit more of La Liga slant to it and thought it was pretty good. Llorente, very, very good at playing in a central midfield role. Now you're talking about possibly using him at right back, but very good. And otherwise, can't really complain. It's just kind of like just chugging along. I feel like the main account just goes on autopilot at the moment, Nath. I've used the same core of players for so long. I've got so many players now that have got 500 games on. Like Cafu's got nearly 700. Team of the Year Van Dijk's got 700 games on him. Team of the Year Edwin van der Sar's got 600 games on him. I just looking through my squad now. Rooney's got 250 games. Player of the Month Mbappe, 618 games. I know these players very well. I've got a lot of club legends, which is exactly the reason I started the second account, which was to have something a little bit different. But before we finish off, anything you'll be looking to work towards over the next week? Are you going to be completing the cup?
Probably not, because my time's limited. I've not started it yet. So I had a bit of a nightmare in the last cup where I think I only managed to get to about 7 wins through time, because I can usually only play these over 2 or 3 days. So if you go on a bad run where you get matched up against very, very good players, then it's a bit of a slog. So I'm pretty much going to try and get to the level 30. Then it's going to be the big decision: do I open it now for Liga or do I wait for Ultimate? Knowing me, I will open it straight away. Especially if we do get an SBC that comes. I've not looked at any leaks, but I'm hoping we should still. I should still get a decent Liga and SBC. I've obviously thrown a few Liga and players in. Plus, having Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, Renato, Marquinhos all in packs, it's just too much of an attraction, because I know Ultimate TOTS, some of these will miss out, and I think Renato and Neymar are team of the season moments, aren't they? So they won't be in Ultimate TOTS either. So I think it's too enticing to try and go for one of those big players, which I know I'm definitely never going to get, but it's just too much of a draw when you've got 30, 84 plus players. So I think that's my main aim, is just I'll only get a couple of games a day, if that. And so I think I'm only about 1,500 points away. So a couple of those, I think tonight the upgrade always gives you 1,250 or something anyway. Yeah. So there's only a couple of things to do, I think.
Yeah, the cup returned. We should say the cup returned on Saturday. I know the guys were talking about it on Friday how it wasn't out. The cup did come out on Saturday. They reduced the win number. You only need to win 9 games now. So you still got your 5 a day. You just need to win 9 out of, what's that, for 6 days. So you got to win 9 out of 30. So not too bad to try and get done. We have had a couple of questions as well, just before we finish off. A couple of tongue-in-cheek ones from O'Bugger. Again, if you want to ask these questions and get them guaranteed into us, the best place to do so is to go through our Discord. You get Discord access by joining up to our Patreon, patreon.com/footinreview. Whatever tier you sign up for gets you into the Discord, and there are various perks for the more generous you are, including things like trading shows, discount on coaching, again, footcoaching.com. If you want to get better, if you're looking and thinking, I can't get my hands on these great players, you'll get so much more value back from going through the coaching than you will from, buying these 500k packs. So very much encourage you to head over there. More tools, more software, new methods, new coaches coming on board all the time. So even if you're just very curious about how the process works, Foot Coaching for all of the socials is the way to go for that. But O'Bugger has put in a couple of questions in the Discord. I love this first one, Nath. It says, do you think older gamers should get a bonus their weekend league score? +1 for age 30, +2 for age 40. It's a bit like getting a bus pass, but FIFA orientated, or should we just suck it up / hang up our boots? And he quantifies it as very much a tongue-in-cheek. But, I mean, Nath, in all seriousness, do you think that maybe it would be something that EA could consider, maybe having a age-verified, different cup competition, your seniors cup, or and at the other end of the scale, the juniors cup as well, maybe for gamers under, I don't know, under 13 or something like that, to make it, I don't know, a little bit fair, a little bit different.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, unfortunately, as you get older, your reflexes obviously go. So I think, you are a little bit of a disadvantage, and I count myself as old. I don't even know how old I am. I'm about 31. So it's not old, but at the same time, you get these young 20s and late teens that are able to do 3 billion skill moves chained into each other. Whereas, I can pretty much hold sprint and pass at the same time now with the state of my hands and my coordination. So I would love to have an extra bonus, or instead of needing 14 wins, I need 13 wins, or you need 10 wins and 8 wins or whatever. I think, yeah. But at the same time, we're all playing the same game, and I know it's probably a way to get cheated anyway. Somebody's going to sign up with a dad's account who's 80 years old and then get a massive bonus, and actually only have to win 2 weekend leagues by the end of it. So it would be quite a cool thing. I just don't think there's any way of them actually doing it.
No, all you do is, how you get like the Captcha tests at the moment? If you log into the web app too many times, you have to turn those silly animals around. You could just start playing theme songs from classic 80s shows. And if you know what the answer is, it proves your age verification. Do you recognize the theme to Transformers? Do you know Mask? Get you in. Gummy Bears, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck. If you know all those things, you get in. But yeah, I think it could be fun, but I think ultimately, I think it's all. No, I know this is very much tongue in cheek, but I think, as we say to anybody in this game, just give yourself a break and be realistic about it. Like, if you know that you're playing during a stress time, you've not got time to spread out your games. You maybe you're tired. You've not had much time to hone your craft or build a team you want. Don't expect to get the same results as other people, and don't beat yourself up about it. The quote I always come back to is, the moment you accept it's okay to suck at video games, they become so much more fun. And that's all it is. It's a game that nobody looks at anybody else and goes, oh, you're a 16-win player. God, oh, you're only an 11-win player, or you're a 9-win player. You can't qualify for Weekend League. What are you even doing around here? It's all in our own heads a lot of the time. So give yourself a break, whether you're on the young end, old end, or in the middle end of the age scale. Just try and have fun. You can. And speaking of having fun, to finish this show, Nath, Bugger asked the second question. He says, in honor of my spell checker changing Testagan to Stegosaurus, name some footballers as dinosaurs.
Ronald Dino.
Ronald Dino.
That's the only one I can think of. The only other ones that come to mind are Raheem Sterling and Jordan Pickford. Not for the names, but just the way they run. Like, Sterling's hands are out here. He runs like this. And then there was the free kick not long ago where Jordan Pickford forgot that he actually could extend his arms. I think it was against Man City. So he dived a bit like, woo! So they're the only two actual ones. But again, I'm not quick enough. Ronald Dino was the only one. I'm even trying to Google it, but my Google's not thinking of any of it. So yeah, what have you got there?
I can't. I honestly can't think of any of any right now. I was trying to think of something on a play on pterodactyl. But
John Pterodactyl. There you go.
John Pterodactyl. There we go. Yeah,
sorted.
There we go. So yeah, look, guys, get them in to. This is one for Grandpapa Mac, I'm sure.
I think he actually wrote this question. I think this was actually Grandpapa Mac.
Yeah, he was it spoofing? No. He spoofed someone's account. Yeah,
he definitely did.
So yeah, guys, get them in, and girls, and anybody listening to this show. Foot coaching on all of our socials. If you've got some of your dinosaur footballers, we'll get the guys to read them out on Friday. That is when the show will return. John will be back. Not sure who will be joining him this week, but stay tuned for the podcast feed as always. Nate, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me on. It's been good fun as always, Dan.
Where can people find you on the World Wide Web?
Twitter, NJ Downs, and in our wonderful Discord is Nathan Downs.
Yeah, I am Wimby in most places. I am Wimby86 on Twitch. Not been able to stream as much as I want to because, life. But I try and pop on when I can. Thank you to everyone listening to the show. Again, if you've got the time to leave us that 5-star review, please do so wherever you listen to us. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back on Friday. Again, patreon.com/foot in review if you want to go the extra mile, and footcoaching.com for all of your coaching needs. One thing left to do, Nath.
Drop it.
We're going to drop it.
Drop it.
You.